Hello, I am Reverend Tammy Brantley, bringing you our Transform Today podcast as we continue our series on I Can Choose to Change through Christ. The scripture passage that I'll be reading from for today's podcast is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 16 through 17, and I'll be reading from the New International Version. All scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, and correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. When I began to listen to this passage, I began to think about the process of what it means to breathe. I began to think about the process of breathing in air, and inhaling, and exhaling. And a part of that process, what we know is that the breathing in of air brings in oxygen, which is necessary to give us life and vitality. When we breathe in air, we breathe in oxygen, which is necessary for our bloodstream and for our cells to work and to function our body. But also in the breathing in of air, it is also important that we exhale carbon dioxide, which is the process of getting rid of anything that is wasteful, anything that is harmful, anything that could be in our body that we need to release. And when we think about this particular passage, what we know is that when we hear the word God breathe scripture, that it is inspired for our good. And it is inspired for the necessary pieces of us to be servants of God to do the work. But scripture that is God-breathed is also scripture that takes us through the processing of exhaling, allowing us to get rid of those things. That is what the text and the scripture means when it says that it is for teaching and rebuking and correcting. A lot of times we have a difficulty hearing the fact that scripture is to rebuke or to correct. But I want us to think about it in the concept today that when we have scripture that is in the process of rebuking and correcting us, it is just like the carbon dioxide in which we exhale that is getting rid of those things that should not be in our lives, that are causing us to be able to do what God has called us to do. I'm inspired in this moment as I think about what it means to breathe and to exhale and to inhale. And the next time we begin to think about scripture as we hear it, that when we are in the stages of breathing and exhaling, that the exhaling of the things that are not good for us, the exhaling represents the times that we need to be correct. And it is for our good. It is for the purpose of giving us the right direction. It's for the purpose of making sure that everything that comes into our spirit and that is given to us by scripture is so that we can be able to function and to do it in a way that God has called us to function, to do it in a way that God is equipping us for the work that he has called us to do. And so it is critically important for us in the process to realize that the scriptures that we take in is more than just for the teaching and the satisfaction of hearing a good word that inspires us. But it is also important for us to hear the scriptures that will get rid of those things that are keeping us away from the training, that is keeping us away from doing what God is calling us to do, and the scriptures that are important to prune us for the work that God is doing. So today I invite each of us, even in this moment, to breathe in, which represents what God is feeding us and giving us to do the work, and to exhale, to take those scriptures which are telling us the errors in our ways as a place to train us and equip us. We breathe in, knowing that the scriptures are inspired by God. And we exhale, knowing that the scriptures that are inspired by God are there to give us everything we need to do the work in which He's called us to do.